The Steelers have drafted a future star as they look to reload their roster for next season. My name is Peyton Kleppe, and on today's episode of Steelers Digest, we'll be breaking down the latest Pittsburgh Steelers reports and analysis regarding the Pittsburgh Steelers football team. As the Pittsburgh Steelers continue to add depth to their defense, they look to develop their next great linebacker. Before we get into the latest reports, if you guys are not already currently subscribed to the channel, click that subscribe button down below. We are trying to get to 3,000 subscribers. But like I said before, the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking to develop their next great linebacker in a guy in Nick Herbig. Some may call him Little TJ. This guy is only continuing to develop. Each season he's been in the NFL. We did draft him, I believe, 2 years ago out of Wisconsin. He was a guy that we thought were going to move around. We did maybe think we were going to play him at that inside linebacker position, but he has developed and really flourished out that outside linebacker position. We did draft him with his former teammate in Wisconsin, Keanu Benton, and both guys have kind of grown, developed together as they came into the league. But Nick Herbig is poised to, have a breakout season next season. In an article by Nick Farabaugh, he does talk about how, in a short time, Nick Herbig has established himself as a force on the Pittsburgh Steelers while the team's top backup at outside linebacker. So, this guy has become a potential piece that the Pittsburgh Steelers can rotate when guys like TJ Watt or Alex Highsmith are tired or, are injured. Nick Herbig is the next guy up. Last year he did see a pretty good amount of game time, but, as he does go into his third season, he's only to get more snaps and, more involvement in the defense. But, a guy that really did expect Nick Herbig to step into the next season in a bigger role is J.J. Watt. He's a guy that obviously had a legendary career in the NFL, but he did say that he does expect Herbig to break out next season after, talking on the Pat McAfee show about his brother TJ's contract. There was a picture taken with TJ and Nick Herbig, so J.J. Watt did call Nick Herbig very underrated, and he does expect him to have a breakout year this upcoming season. But, over his first 2 seasons in the NFL, Nick Herbig has had 8.5 sacks and 6 forced fumbles. That's pretty amazing for just 2 seasons in the NFL as a backup outside linebacker. This guy has never really gotten a chance to start. There's been a few games where obviously TJ and Highsmith were hurt or got hurt during the game, so Herbig was able to step in for them, but he's really not been given the chance to be a long-term starter at that outside linebacker position. But, in his rookie season, it was even more of a limited sample size, but he was a spark plug off the bench, and that's a great way to describe Nick Herbig. He's a great spark plug player. He's a great guy that's going to come in, force a few fumbles, get a few sacks, and could maybe change the turn of a game. He's a guy that the Pittsburgh Steelers were looking at, looking to get in guys like Marcus Golden, in a guy like Melvin Ingram. They were trying to build that 3-headed monster outside linebacker position, and they finally have put all the pieces together and finally got a guy like Nick Herbig, that can play alongside TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith, 2 all-pro caliber outside linebackers. I don't care what you say. Alex Highsmith is an elite outside linebacker. I only expect him to get better with age, and as he does play with, a future Hall of Famer in TJ Watt. The Steelers' all-time sack leader. Steelers, debatably one of the Steelers' best outside linebackers of all time. But, back to Herbig, the Pittsburgh Steelers did draft him in the 4th round of the 2023 NFL draft out of Wisconsin, like I said. Many teams wanted to flip Herbig to inside linebacker, citing his size as an issue, but the Steelers saw his explosiveness and bend and kept him outside at the outside linebacker position. Now they are reaping the benefits of that projection. Another guy that came out of the draft, he wasn't even drafted, but, many concerns were around his size was a guy like James Harrison. I don't want to compare Nick Herbig to James Harrison, but, both guys are shorter guys for the outside linebacker position. Debo is only 6 foot. I believe Nick Herbig is like 6'1 or 6'2", so he is on the shorter side. But, he does make up for that at that explosiveness. This guy's got some great speed rush moves. He's continued to learn from TJ Watt. He's continued to, bring his notebook to all the meetings and, take notes on TJ Watt, take some of his moves, which, it's great to see for a young outside linebacker, a guy coming into his own. And, this guy is kind of comparable to a guy like Dwight Freeney, who is just able to use, his small size and his speed to get around the edge and get to the quarterback. And Herbig is also taking some notes from TJ Watt as he's able to force fumbles whenever he's around the football. If we do go back to last year, a super notable play that Nick Herbig made was against the Baltimore Ravens at home. I believe it was maybe the first or second series of the game. We got the Baltimore Ravens in their own 20, running down the field, giving the ball to Derrick Henry. Lamar's running some read options. And, Nick Herbig is able to get in there, do the peanut Tillman punch, knock that football out. We were able to recover it. And, it was a very pivotal play in that game. Was able to switch the momentum to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And, we were able to go out of that game with the win. So guys like Nick Herbig, even another guy that we did draft in Jack Sawyer, I do expect them to come off the bench and really just be spark plugs, really be guys that could actually contribute coming off the bench when they do see, reps on the field. We really have not had this kind of depth at outside linebacker in years. I don't really remember the last time we did have this kind of depth. If we go back, to like 2013, 2014, we did have pretty deep outside linebacker room, but really nothing to compare to like we have now. I mean, back then we had Jason Worlds, a guy that was kind of coming into his own, Arthur Moats. Shout out Arthur Moats podcast. Drop a subscription if you're watching. But, we had Arthur Moats, Jason Worlds, developmental guy, and Jarvis Jones, who obviously did not work out, and a few other guys. But that was a lot of depth at the time, and I think us Steelers fans are pretty happy with that depth at that time. But, we are in a position now where we got two great outside linebackers, probably debatably the best outside linebacker core in the league. And behind them, we have two future stars in guys like Nick Herbig and Captain Jack Sawyer, who I do expect to get a lot of game time in the preseason and hopefully develop into a guy like Nick Herbig, where he could come on the field, force a few fumbles, get a sack here and there, change the turn of a game, and maybe develop into the next Hall of Fame outside linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Unfortunately, that's all I have for you guys tonight on Steelers Digest. If you guys are not already currently subscribed to the channel, click that subscribe button down below. Thank you so much. Here we go, Steelers.